Welcome and let's get started. The Appeals Committee of the Opposition New Patriotic Party has cleared 8 more constituencies to go ahead with their parliamentary primaries this weekend. The election of parliamentary candidates in 13 constituencies was suspended following petitions against some of them. But the elections will now go ahead in the Klote Kole, Tema West, Tema Central, Obom Domiabra, Okaikwe South, Kintampo North, Joabeng and Kwesimintim constituencies. Director of Elections for the NPP, Martin Mensah, says all is set to manage the challenges that rocked the recent polls.
And by their decision, these constituencies are cleared to go. For me, it only then suggests that the issues have been resolved, hence their participation in the election. This election is like any public election. It's under the aegis of the Public Election Regulation, that's CI 75. And under the CI 75, which governs all public elections, that's exactly what we're doing here. The only exception is that this election starts from 8 and ends at 3 p.m. But we observe all the rules in every election. Delegates, when they turn up at the centers, are supposed to be identified. If there is any further item to aid that identity, the election officers will make it known. We don't expect people to get to the voting area and be partisan or show support for contesting candidates. We don't again expect that people will display their ballot decisions on their ballots after they've made them, or attempt to take photographs, as has been alleged in the past. This election is a first past the post. What it means is that even if an individual or a candidate were to win by just 1 vote, it's a win, and that concludes the election. Immediately after 3, the votes are counted and the winners declared. We're not going to have a situation of transporting or transmitting results as has been the case in other previous elections. We urge members that they go and vote before 3 p.m. You are not likely to be allowed to vote if you are not in the queue by 3 o'clock. If those who turn up get to the station by 3 p.m. and are still in the queue, they're entitled to vote before the station officially closes for the counting. So we just entreat members to be guided by this and then turn out to vote. We've been around this cycle of elections, and I'm sure it's not too new to our members. So we hope it all goes well on Saturday.
Now, are you really ready in terms of logistics, everything that is needed for these elections, ballot papers, ballot boxes, everything concerning the elections?
Yes.
Are we really ready?
Yes, when I say we are ready, that's exactly what I mean. What makes the election come so successfully? It's all been put in place.
Now, security-wise, what's the arrangement?
Put in place, adequately secured.
Martin Mensah says constituency election committees in these constituencies have been asked to liaise with the respective district directors of the Electoral Commission for the conduct of the polls. Now, we understand there is an application for an injunction on the Klote Kole primaries, and Afre Kwachinyama is here with me. Afre, what more can you tell us about this?
Okay, so these are party members, we understand, in that constituency who are unhappy with how events have gone. And in fact, the plaintiffs in this matter, and this case was filed at the High Court, as you mentioned earlier, include one Juliana Brandt, George Arthur Williams, Mary Crenso, Ebenezer Akwa, and Michael Nana Nkansa. And what they are asking the court to do, and there's a background to all of this. After Ninoy Norte, one of the aspirants in that constituency, the main challenger to Philip Addison, we all know from the election petition hearing, after Ninoy was cleared by the party's vetting committee, an application was filed at the appeals committee contesting his candidature. The issue that he had was that he had presented a fake certificate from the University of Ghana to the vetting committee.
That's lawyer Philip Addison they're talking about.
No, I'm talking about the contender. And those in court right now are challenging the candidacy of Ninoy Norte. That's why this application for injunction has been filed at the High Court. And they are saying that they are asking the High Court to do a number of things here. They are unhappy with how the appeals committee of the NPP went about this whole issue insofar as clearing Ninoy Norte, one of the 3 aspirants in the Korle Klottey constituency, to contest for this particular election. And let me go specifically to the reliefs that they are seeking here. They want, number one, a declaration that the second defendant's degree certificate, and when we talk about the second defendant here, once again, we are talking about Ninoy Norte, that his degree certificate is a piece of forgery. That's the first declaration that they want the High Court to make on this particular matter. They also want a declaration that the second defendant acted fraudulently when he declared and submitted those particular forms to the vetting committee of the NPP, which the appeals committee again sat on. They also want the court to declare again that police is investigating this particular matter, that Ninoy Norte is under police investigation. So these are some of the reliefs they are seeking from.
Have we had any reactions from the party itself, the NPP? Well,
I spoke to Nana Komia a while ago. What he tells me is that the party has been notified of this particular application for injunction. We know that it's expected to be heard at the High Court on the 29th of this month. But the party says that if indeed this application is pending before the court, they will not go ahead with the process. They will exclude Korle Klottey from the 8 constituencies that they had originally scheduled to.
If the injunction is granted. But we are hearing of another injunction in Kwesi Mintim constituency. Tell us about that.
In Kwesi Mintim constituency, 2 candidates was expected to be on the ballot sheet. The incumbent MP, Joe Bedu-Ansah, who has been in Parliament for more than 10 years now. And his main contender there, the only contender in fact until he was disqualified by the party. And the main reason he was disqualified was that they said that he had his ID card, his party ID card, and other documents that again he presented to the vetting committee were fake. Now Mr. Joe Mensah says that even though he was disqualified, he was not officially informed by the party. So in this particular case, the court has actually granted the injunction. And so in Kwesi Mintim constituency as well, the New Patriotic Party will be unable to hold the primaries there.
And Veryl, we know that you'll be keeping your eyes on these developments and will bring you all the details as and when they happen. Thank you very much, Afrek Kwache Nyamada. Let's move on to other stories. And the Volta River Authority has described as realistic assurances by government to end the country's energy crisis by the end of the year. It cites 2 thermal plants in Tema and Kpong here in the Greater Accra region, which it says should add 250 megawatts to the national grid by November this year. Joy News editor Israel Lai joined a tour of the upcoming plans as well as the Akosombo Dam, where authorities say the decline in the water level is slowing down.
Engineers were installing components of the Siemens plant when the team of journalists visited. Officials explained the first phase of the project should add 38 megawatts by November this year.
We started the project installation in February 2015. And this phase is the phase 2A. And this one is supposed to give us an installed capacity of 38 megawatts. And we're expected to complete the installation by November, do a commercial operation date in ending of November.
The much bigger Kpong thermal plant is also expected to add 220 megawatts before the end of the year.
I've been on it for the last 2.5 years. We are now in the advanced stage of the completion of this project. The entire plant is mechanical erection is complete, and we are currently doing tests on the machine to be able to commission it.
Both plants can be powered with either gas or the more expensive diesel. With a shortfall in electricity generation averaging at about 600 megawatts, the 2 plants, along with the car power barges expected in September, should significantly reduce the deficit.
We have everything to be happy, about for these 2 projects coming on stream. It will come and reduce the big deficit that we already have and help us improve the situation as we move towards the end of the year.
Put this additional generation that's coming in into the overall picture of the supply challenges we're having and how to resolve Dumso. How do you see that happening?
I see it happening because every additional megawatt we have helps to eliminate the deficit, or reduce it and then eventually eliminate it. I see it happening because looking at the deficit we have, these projects come up and the other gas is flowing, Akosombo water level improves, and we get the other turbines running in Akosombo, then I see the deficit being removed and possibly some surplus, or if you like, some surplus, or what we technically call reserve, will be available.
So will it happen? If it happens, then we're fine. If it doesn't happen, then we are going to have to endure this a bit more. But the Prime Minister knows what's available, and so because of that, he believes that we can get or cross this bridge by the end of the year. So let's just hope this happens, and then we'll all be fine, and we can kiss Dumso goodbye.